Well, thank you for joining us for this final episode of Marking the Times for 2019. It's been a great year. I enjoy doing these videos each week and answering questions that you send in and talking about things that are happening in the world of Bible prophecy. As I think back over this year, probably the most questions we've received are questions about the rapture. I've answered a lot of questions. I'm sure many of you who watch a lot of the videos have picked up on that. And I want to end the year, since we've talked about the rapture a lot, I want to end the year talking about the rapture. And hopefully the rapture will come in 2019. But this is a good question. It's an important one about the rapture. It says this: I searched your channel and was not able to find anything about the post-trib rapture, specifically in response to Michael Brown. And that's referring to a book that Michael Brown wrote with another man it's called Not Afraid of Antichrist. And it's a book basically defending the post-trib rapture. I actually did a few videos sometime back on that. But he goes on and asks the question. He says, one question from that book would be their view on the rapture being at the end of the tribulation, that the church or saints will go up and meet Jesus in the air and then come back with him instantly and to fight and then reign. They say that this was how kings were brought into cities. And is that how people would go out and meet them as they were approaching the city, and then they would instantly come back with them into the city? Is that true? Is that what is going to happen, and does it have any credibility? And then he says, I hope this makes sense. And what this is a question about is in 1 Thessalonians 4, it talks about how the dead in Christ are going to rise first. We who are alive and remain are going to be caught up and together to meet the Lord in the air. That's that word meet. It's the word apentisen. We're going to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. And a lot of people take that word, apentisen, that word to meet, in a technical sense, that it meant in that day, they say, to go out and to meet a dignitary and then to accompany or escort that person back to the place you came from. So what they say the word means, we're going to go up and meet the Lord in the air. We're going to meet him like a dignitary who's coming, and then we're going to escort him back to earth, if you will. And they say that supports the post-trib rapture, a rapture at the end of the tribulation, where we go up and meet Jesus and then come right back down to the earth and escort him back to the earth. Now, the problem with that view is the word apentisen doesn't really carry that kind of a specific meaning. A lot of people take that it does. The word's only used two other times in the New Testament. It's used in Matthew 25 and verse 6, where they're watching, the virgins are watching for the bridegroom to come, and they go out and meet him when he comes at midnight. And it's also used in Acts 28 and verse 15, where some Roman Christians met Paul outside the city of Rome and then evidently escorted him back into the city. But there's several reasons why that word doesn't have to mean you go meet someone and escort them directly back. First of all, if you look in BDAG, which is the best known Greek lexicon, the meaning for the word apentisen is simply to meet. It doesn't mean to meet and to escort back. So the Greek lexicon, the most revered one, doesn't give that meaning of going and meeting someone and escorting them directly back. And even in Acts 28:15, where it's used, it speaks of believers going to the Forum of Appia in 3 taverns to meet Paul. But the word there simply meant to meet him. It didn't mean to meet him and escort him back. And so the idea of a post-tribulation rapture really is not supported, I believe, by the word to meet. What it says there in Thessalonians is, those of us who are alive and remain on the earth when the Lord comes, we're going to get caught up. We're going to meet the Lord in the air. And then it says, so shall we ever be with the Lord. So really, 1 Thessalonians doesn't tell us what we're going to do after we meet the Lord. It just says we're going to go meet him. And so I think to find out what we're going to do after we meet him, we need to go to another passage, which is John chapter 14. And I think that tells us we're going to go meet Jesus in the air and not turn around and come back down with him. We're going to meet him in the air, and he's going to take us to the Father's house. John 14, 1-3, Jesus said, you believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many dwelling places. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go and prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. I think John 14 is telling us clearly, when the Lord comes for us, he's going to take us to the Father's house. And so if we take that passage and put its meaning there in 1 Thessalonians 4, when it says we're going to be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, that's a rapture, I believe, that's pre-trib, before the coming tribulation. We're going to get caught up and meet Christ in the air, and he's going to take us to the Father's house. And we'll be with him there while the tribulation rages on the earth. We're not going to get caught up and meet him and come right back down, as post-tribulationists say. So that word apentisen, to meet, is not a technical term that means to meet and to escort back. It just means to meet. And I think that'll be helpful for a lot of you, because you hear that argument used by people who hold to the post-trib rapture a lot. A couple other things I'll just mention quickly. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 10, it says that the Lord's going to come and deliver us from the coming wrath. In 1 Thessalonians 5:9, it says that we've not been appointed to wrath, but to salvation. So those are other passages right there in the book of 1 Thessalonians that support the idea that we're going to be delivered or raptured or caught up before that time of wrath comes on the earth. We're going to end out this year with that, with this devotional about the rapture. And again, as I said, hopefully the Lord will come back in 2020. We'll be looking. God bless you all. I will see you next time.